Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, Paul here.
And Alex here. And in today's video, we're coming at you with 6 fun deck ideas.
But before we get into today's video, we've got a bit of an announcement. First of all, Team APS is now sponsored by Inked Gaming. If you use the code APS10, you can get 10% off any purchase on the entire site, including our awesome playmat, but anything else you might want to get on there as well. So check it out. All the information is down in the description.
But that's not all. Also be on the lookout for our giveaway of Cybernetic Horizon. That's sponsored by TCG Player. The details for that is also down in the description.
So, a lot of cool, crazy decks come out. We've got Sky Strikers, Altergeists, and Gokis, right?
Yeah, the best decks.
But it's really easy to forget that a lot of these new Yu-Gi-Oh products do have other fun decks that are exciting, unique,
overshadowed.
So we thought we'd bring some light to them. We've got 6 of them.
First up, we've got the Star Warriors. There's not actually an archetype name for these guys.
Unofficial name, I guess.
But they're essentially an archetype of level 5 or higher warrior monsters.
Yeah, they summon each other out from the hand, and their effects basically involve changing their attack points. They can actually change their attack points to like save themselves from battle, that type of thing.
Or deal a whole lot of damage onto your opponent by lowering your opponent's monster's attack points.
Yeah, the goal is actually to fusion summon their monsters. So the main deck monsters, what are their names? Let's see. I have notes here. Hayate, Tenma, and Kaiki. Right, okay, so I think Hayate and Tenma can summon each other, right?
Yes, because one can summon an Earth Warrior and the other one can... No, if there's an Earth monster on the field, it can summon itself.
Yeah, and the other one's a light one, right?
And it can summon itself.
And then Kaiki's the one that actually has an effect that lets you fusion summon, so you don't have to use polymerization. Very handy.
Mm-hmm.
And that lets you make the 2 fusion monsters. What are the 2 fusion monsters?
Well, first up, we have to talk about Shura.
Yeah, Shura's cool. Shura can make monsters attack 0, right?
Yes. He's got 3,000 attack, so he's a big beater.
And then there's also Edaton, who can do basically the same thing, but it's fused by using Shura and then one of the other level 5 warrior monsters. And so I guess the idea here is that you're basically just trying to deal heavy battle damage to the opponent.
Yeah, they don't have any real burn effects. They don't pop anything really.
What is cool though is that because they're level 5 monsters, you can make some rank 5 Xyz plays, which is kind of neat. You can play around with that a bit.
You can use cards like Feast of the Wild level 5 to really get your turn started with these guys.
Yeah, it can summon them from the hand and it can summon them from the grave, and it's actually a +1. It's kind of like a Goki rematch for them. And you can also combine them with a few other decks. Some of the things that came to mind were like UAs or Ultra Athletes.
Or Silent Swordsman.
Yeah, Silent Swordsman is actually a really cool one because they've got a level 5, right?
Yeah, and there's not really a good deck around them yet, so maybe this might be a way to use them.
And there's also Battle Guards, which,
I mean, the monsters themselves are...
They're like an anime fan, maybe it makes more sense that way. But yeah, that's all there really is to know about them. They're very easy to get from Battles of Legend Relentless Revenge, so, you know, I mean, pretty simple there. The Time Lords. So, Time Lords are kind of a fan favorite. They all have a very similar effect, right?
And similar attack points.
Yeah.
0.
They're all level 10 monsters. They all have 0 attack and defense. They can all be special summoned, or just summoned from the hand, if you don't control any monsters. And they have some really great protections. They can't be destroyed by battle.
Card effects.
Yeah, and whenever you battle with them, you don't take any battle damage. So, all very good things. After they battle, they'll do something to your opponent.
Yeah, they all have really strong effects that can really debilitate your opponent's game.
Yeah, they can like shuffle all the spells and traps back into the deck, or bounce all the monsters in the field to the hand.
Or deal burn damage.
Which is kind of their new strategy, it seems like. Because since they can't actually attack your opponent...
They do something.
Yeah, one of them halves your opponent's life points. I believe one inflicts like 2,000 or something like that.
That's pretty good, actually.
And normally these monsters are hard to get out on the field normally because you can only really summon like 1 per turn.
But thankfully they added a new monster, Time Maiden, to the archetype.
Yeah, it can search them and summon them, ignoring any of their summoning conditions. And they've also got a set of trap cards that are... The trap cards, they kind of activate in sequence. Like one of them lets you like shuffle Time Lords in and like draw a card, I believe. And then if you send it to the grave, you can activate the next trap, which has like some other effect. And then there's like a third trap that lets you like summon 3 different Time Lords at a time, which is crazy. And all of the traps, once per turn, can even protect themselves from being like MST'd or Twin Twistered.
So yeah, that's... Once you've done all 3 traps, you're probably going to win.
And this deck's pretty cheap, right? Like all these cards got
basically the Time Lords
reprinted.
were just... They were overlooked for a long time. No one really cares.
Overlooked for a long time.
And this is the last one from Relentless Revenge. The Fairy Tale archetype, which is not to be confused with the Fairy Tale
monsters.
They're
kind of different.
This is an archetype focusing around the Golden Castle of Stromberg.
Yeah, which is actually a short printed card, I believe, in the set. So
we found out the hard way.
it is the one very expensive card, so I guess we should preface by saying that you'll need like 3 copies of the field spell.
So it's not a cheap deck.
But other than that, the cards are pretty affordable, and I like their effects. Basically, the Golden Castle lets you summon your monsters that mention it in its card text straight from the deck, so it's very strong.
And it's got a pretty bad cost.
Yeah, every standby phase you have to banish the top 10
Top 10, yeah.
of your deck face down.
Face down.
So you're kind of on a clock here. But it's okay because the monsters themselves have some really strong effects.
Yeah.
What is it?
Their main monster is Princessin, and she can be equipped with the Glass Slipper equip card to boost her attack points.
And then after she inflicts battle damage to your opponent with a direct attack, you get to equip the slippers to one of your opponent's monsters. And since those aren't likely to be fairies, they'll lose attack points and can't attack.
And that really helps if you're using the other monsters like Iron Knight and Iron Hans.
They search each other out from the deck. One powers up the other, right?
Yeah, Iron Hans will lose attack, but Iron Knight will lose attack, and Iron Hans will gain attack for each Iron Knight on the field.
There's also Glyph. It actually searches your castle, so you can run like 3 Glyph and 3 terraforming so that you see the castle very quickly.
Glyph can also pop back row.
Yeah, as soon as it's summoned, normal or special summon. There's also the Pumpkin Carriage, which protects the castle, and it's what allows the princess to attack directly.
So basically, when you get the slippers, and the castle out, your strategy's pretty well started.
And then there's Hexatrude, who is kind of, I guess, the boss monster. If the castle's in the field, you can normal summon her without tributing. She's pretty strong, and she can pop a monster in the field. When she does, it lets her do 2 attacks in the battle phase, and whenever she destroys a monster, she gains 400 attack. So you can actually start like punching in pretty hard and getting rid of your opponent's stuff.
This is a pretty neat beatdown deck.
It is, but remember you are on a clock when you play this deck, so unless you've got something like Necroface to recycle your banished cards, you do have to win fast.
So now we've got a couple decks from Legendary Duelists. And the first one we have is Battle Dragon.
Used by Bandit Keith.
And remember, he's not actually an American, he's Canadian. So it's actually surprisingly more about dark machines than about coin flip strategies. So the deck revolves around you springing the field spell on someone and using your battle phase to power up your rather weak dark machines, because
very weak.
BM4 Blast Spider only has like 1400 attack. The field spell can help it not get destroyed by battle, and then it can gain the attack points of what it fought with. So then you can actually use it to swing over an opponent's monster. Mm-hmm. The great part about that is when that happens, the field spell allows you to special summon any dark machine monster from your hand.
So you're able to summon Desperado Barrel Dragon.
Or any other.
Yeah, or the normal Barrel Dragon, right?
Yes.
Or I guess any dark machine?
Any dark machine.
And so Desperado Barrel Dragon, I know just offhand, has a coin flip effect. In the battle phase, you get to flip 3 coins, and depending on, you can destroy monsters in the field up to the number of heads that you got.
Exactly.
If you get 3 heads, you can draw a card, which is pretty cool. And then when it dies, you get to search any like level 7 or lower monster that has coin flips. So that could be just your regular barrel dragon.
It could be a twin barrel dragon for an easy summon.
Or even, some of those other like coin flip cards, Gambler's Legend or something like that.
You could, but it's better to get one of the dark machine ones that do coin flips, because you can then bring them out with your heavy metal raiders later.
And then Proton Blast is the trap, which it's a continuous trap, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like icing on the cake. It doesn't win you the duel, but it'll help every time you get a heads on a coin flip. It'll have more effects that will help debilitate your opponent's game.
Yeah, it's like those effects that do like 2 or 3 coin flips. If you get, I think it's 2 heads, you can pop a monster in the field. If it's 3 heads, you can look at your opponent's hand
and discard
a card. I think those effects even stack.
They do, and its one head effect was simple burn damage.
And when it's in the graveyard, if it happens to get MST'd or something like that, you can actually banish it from your grave whenever you do a coin flip to treat all of your coin flip results as heads, which is kind of handy because then you get like a draw from the Desperado Barrel.
And yeah, you basically get the best effect of all of your flip coin monsters.
The next deck is Insect Queen. So this also came out of Ancient Millennium, and this is kind of the Weevil stuff. I feel like, I totally overlooked this when it first came out. I was like, oh, okay, this is all trash. But it's actually pretty neat. So basically your goal is to try to summon the new Metamorphosed Insect Queen, and while she's in the field, as long as there's any other insect in the field, none of your insects can be targeted or destroyed by card effects.
But you need to make sure you have other insects on the field to use it.
Yeah, and so she's also able to spawn tokens herself, but that's only at the end of the turn, so you do have to be a little bit careful. Summoning her is really tough though. Even though she's got good stats, she actually has no practical way of being summoned except by card effects.
So basically you have to use your Ultra Cocoon of Evolution.
Yeah, Ultra Cocoon of Evolution is the spell. It lets you tribute a insect from either side of the field that's equipped with something. And what would it be equipped with?
Parasite Paranoid.
Yeah, so Parasite Paranoid can equip from your hand to an opponent's monster, and then it becomes treated as an insect. And also it can't like use any of its effects that would target an insect. It can't attack insects.
Basically leaves that monster as like a lame duck. It can't do anything.
And while it's equipped, if Parasite Paranoid goes to the grave, you get to summon any insect from your hand, so that could be your queen. Also, if you're using Ultra Cocoon, which tributes your opponent's insect monster that's equipped with this, you'll be able to summon your queen from the deck and then summon a different insect from your hand. And then you've also got, what's that one last card I feel like I'm forgetting? Let me check my notes. Let me check my notes.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, you can also use other insect supports. So, Insectors come to mind, Crawlers come to mind.
You can use some of those random insects like Gokipon.
Doomdozer, that type of stuff. So even though this deck I think is probably one of the more simplistic ones, it's actually really neat. I mean, I don't think that it's going to be, like most of the decks on this list, not going to be like winning regionals or anything.
But it's a good one to play with your friends.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun lockdown strategy. When it all comes together, it's cool. And the Cocoon can even get you a draw when it's in the grave, so they kind of added a little bit of a float there, which is nice.
Last deck from Legendary Duelist, Ancient Millennium, is Eyes Restrict.
Yes, so Eyes Restrict is the basically like kind of Thousand Eyes Relinquish support.
Yeah, it's basically capitalizes on how good of a card Thousand Eyes Restrict was.
Yeah, the new retrained Millennium Eyes Restrict is another fusion monster. You can actually summon it with instant fusion, but this deck can actually use Relinquished Fusion to do that instead. And unlike, so okay, Thousand Eyes Restrict can like take monsters and all that, but this guy can actually take multiple monsters. Anything it takes, it gains the attack of. And so that attack can start stacking really fast. And in addition to that, it negates the effects of any cards that are equipped to it. So any other cards with that name. So like what you can do is, you know, if your opponent say normal summon some monster that's drawn to, you know, searches, right? Like Darkworm or whatever. You can actually use your Millennium Eyes Restrict, take the Darkworm and equip it to him, and then the Darkworm's effect will be negated. And now you're gaining 1800 attack. It can even stop hand traps, which is awesome. And they've got a couple of other support cards. Millennium Eyes Illusionist and Illusionist Faceless Magician. Millennium Eyes Illusionist is the hand trap. You can actually discard in either player's turn, steal one of your opponent's effect monsters, and when you summon another relinquished monster, it comes back from the graveyard to your hand, so it's very handy. And Illusionist can also summon from the grave whenever you summon relinquished monsters, so it can be used as material. And then the fusion spell also lets you banish it from the grave, because if you haven't noticed, there's a trend here with these like spells in this set. From the grave, it can banish itself and let you get one of your opponent's effect monsters and equip it. So it's all a very great strategy.
I'm gonna admit, guys, I didn't know anything about that archetype. I had to stay quiet the whole entire time.
I only know because I tried to build it. It's kind of fun. I did a profile of it actually, if you guys want to see that. And of course, you can use your typical ritual support cards.
Pre-preparation of rites, the Manjus,
and even the new incantations.
Ooh.
Plus, the Predaplan engine can search the fusion spell. So
you might as well. Gotta speed it back up a bit.
So yeah. Those are 6 very fun Yu-Gi-Oh decks from sets that I think people really forget about really often.
Yeah, because I mean, the sets come out so quickly now.
Yeah, it's so quick, and like people just don't build decks and they just get thrown in shoeboxes.
I forgot about most of these.
So hopefully these gave you guys some ideas for stuff you can build. Special shout out actually to Shadows of Valhalla, which comes out next month. And it has, what is it?
Ninjas and Valkyries.
So that'll be 2 more things. We didn't cover them in this video because
there's not really much info on them yet.
So those are also 2 more things you might want to build. But hopefully this gave you guys some ideas. You'll try them out. Let us know down in the comments. What other decks are you building that maybe other people forgot about from the past year? So we'd love to know. We'll be down there responding. And remember, use our discount coupon code on Inked Gaming, 10% off.
Be on the lookout for the giveaway of Cybernetic Horizon.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.